What's up, everybody? Welcome to Rear Naked Radio. I'm one of your hosts, Jamie Kilstein.
And I'm the other host, Drew Weatherhead. And again, for a second week in a row, we are hitting it late night. What is going on, Jamie? Why are we doing this?
We're doing it today because we're going international. And we did it. Wait, why the fuck did we do it last week? I think just panic and we didn't have a guest.
Yeah, we're not going to talk about how panicked it was.
So we're going international. So we're going by other side of the world time. I can't even blame quarantine on this. It is technically like I drug myself to do it. I literally told Drew before we hit record, I'm like, hey man, you're gonna have to do a lot of the lifting because I'm so tired right now. It is not even 9 p.m. on a Friday night.
Can you imagine when you're actually 65?
Dude, I know. I'm acting like I'm a fucking grandpa and I'm being dragged into a home at 2 a.m. by my ungrateful, shitty kids. It's insane. Normal people, even my age, are out right now being grown-ups.
I'm really interested to know how you had a many-year-long stand-up comedian career that usually goes to 2 a.m. in most
Miserably,
places.
Drew, have you heard me talk about comedy? I literally came back from the Mall of America last week and on the show was I wanted to kill myself. Terribly. I hate it. I hated it.
Maybe we need to figure out some sort of stand-up gig that starts at 4 p.m. Some Chinese buffet where it's people don't even really want you there, but they're up and you're getting paid in food.
Yeah. It would be me horrifying children. Be like, hey kids, do you know about the military industrial complex? You want to talk about that? You're all being lied to, you fucking sheep.
Everybody in this room is okay with me using the word cunt a lot, right?
Yeah, you guys are
using
cool.
The word cunt. This is our third episode where we can freely do it. We have a C card on this one.
Yeah, but Martin seems so classy. Craig Jones is garbage.
He is classy, but cunt is classy in Aussie.
Is it though?
We're about to find out.
Let's not ask him about it. Let's just casually slip it in and then we'll both wait. You know what I mean?
I'm just going to start with Martin, you good cunt.
I don't know why he just seems so much classier than Craig Jones does.
Maybe he's scarier because you're in his weight class and he has dominated the entire side of the globe opposite to us.
Yeah, you were when I pitched him to you, this was my idea because I've been on a one championship kick.
Yeah, tell me.
You were this dude's their Anderson Silva. And he's essentially the Mighty Mouse, double champ.
Wait. Okay, so I said Anderson Silva because his dominance and his style is ridiculous. So people who haven't seen him, check out Martin Nguyen right now. Pause what you're doing and come back, and you'll know what I'm saying when I say Anderson Silva. But to call him Mighty Mouse, it feels like you're saying that because he's small. When over in Asia, he's enormous.
Oh, I'm saying
he's a featherweight in Asia. That's like Godzilla.
Yeah, I'm saying that with double champ.
I see what you're doing.
Dominant double champ.
I just conflated my feelings about small people onto you.
Yeah. Small people and maybe racist feelings towards Asians.
I don't know if height has to do with racial slurs.
Maybe.
Is it?
I don't know.
Hey, you little Asian maybe is a little racist. Maybe we should start with hey, you little Asian cunt.
You little Asian cunt.
Flies.
And we'll see which part of that offended him.
We'll wait 17 hours, which is how far he is from me. And then I'll let you know if I survive tomorrow.
Oh, my God. Hey, speaking of, since we accidentally opened up incredibly offensive, I just want to tell you, I tried to land a joke 5 times and you didn't get it, in text messages. So here's what happens. So Drew texts me and he goes,
Jamie, you good cunt.
We're not going to get into personal stuff. I was about to just start shitting on everybody who's wronged me this week and just to say how much I love Drew. So Drew writes me and he goes, hey, man, what do you think of the Brian Callen stuff? Which, by the way, we're not going to talk about on the show because it's a goddamn jiu-jitsu show. And so we start talking about it and Drew points out that he goes, man, you had a really good opportunity. We start talking about man, are comedians just all scumbags? Is it a power thing? Are people going after just comedians? That's the conversation. And Drew goes, you really had an opportunity. And I'm leaving Drew a voice memo about my thoughts. As Drew types to me, you really had an opportunity where you could have said any comedian was busted doing creepy stuff and I would have believed you. And so as I'm leaving Drew this voice memo, I go, I'm going to do it. Not only am I going to do it, I'm going to do it after he told me, and I'm going to do it so convincingly.
That's a boss move.
So I'm like, I don't know, man. Like, it's like, the Cowan thing, like, it seems really bad. And then you have shit like the Carrot Top stuff. And then, you know, obviously the Dalia. And like, I tried to do it so casually. And then Drew was like, yeah, I don't really know the details on the Carrot Top stuff.
It just proved my own point. I just bought it hook, line, and sinker.
Hook, line, and sinker. And then I told you it was a bit. I go, Drew, that was a joke. Now, granted, I text like a lunatic. I have like learning disabilities. I have ADD. I'll go from like one thought to a third thought, and with skipping the second thought. And I was like, Drew, that was a bit. And then you were like, yeah, Carrot Top. Like, I couldn't convince you. I couldn't be like, Drew, I just did the joke.
Yeah, I'm sure in your head it was like, I got you, but in text, if I screen cap it and put it up on my stories, it reads derp the derp 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 derp.
Yeah, I know. Did you get to the point where you Googled Carrot Top, or did you just assume
I did
that?
not.
He's a prop comic, so he probably did something creepy.
Yeah, I probably shouldn't say this on a podcast that people are going to take advantage of me from, but I'll believe anything as long as it's a headline. I don't read it shit.
Drew is why the clickbait exists.
I am part of the problem.
Yeah. Should we send Martin the
I'm going to do that
invite?
right away. Yeah. So guys, Martin Nguyen, for those of you who don't know, check out ONE FC. He is the Anderson Silva, Godzilla or not, of the organization, which really is the UFC of that side of the world. If you don't know how big ONE is right now.
So I'm going to open. Yeah, that's kind of how I'm going to open and talk about it. He's just such a fucking phenom. He's such a phenomenal fighter. Oh, by the way, you guys loved Christina last week. So thank you for all the emails. We got it. It was a very long episode. It was so funny. I was talking to one of the women. So the women that I talked to like gather the intel that made up the show last week, I wrote them all and I'm like, hey, we did like a show about all this. And one of them writes back and goes, it's 2 hours. And I'm like, hey, do you want a quality or fucking not? This is the price you pay. You go listen to mainly men, 2 out of 3 men talk about what women have to go through for 2 fucking hours. And then I just wrote #ally and sent her the link.
Oh my God.
Like a real piece of shit, but I thought it was funny. But yeah, you guys have been fucking awesome. And dude, sometimes I'm like, do I talk about being crazy too much on this show? The amount of emails. So now like my Instagram is mainly fighters, jiu-jitsu people. But so before, whenever I talked about mental health and I was just around like lefties and comedy fans, everyone was like, yeah, we're all miserable and depressed and alcoholics and hate ourselves. And so I didn't get a ton of emails. I mean, like I got emails from people who were like, hey, I was about to kill myself. I didn't, thank you. But like, I didn't get it wasn't like an everyday thing. I get everyday emails from guys about this mental health shit. And I'm just realizing like, oh, we do not talk about it enough in this community. Cause I think there's still like a machismo kind of, maybe we can talk about it next week. We should think about like a good guy to have on to talk about this shit.
I mean, part of that is probably, we need to talk about it more. And I'm happy to do that. I'm really happy to do that. There's some organizations out there like Submit the Stigma that are trying to make it less, hard to bring up in conversation in our community.
And Aaron wants to do the show, I literally just texting Aaron because I had every time I have a panic attack, I like fucking text her.
I think the other part though is we've got a lot of people that are of the personality type that want to help. So if they feel like you need help or their help could help you, they're reaching out, right?
Yeah, well, but I also I did an episode about this on my podcast, A Fuck Up's Guide to Self-Help, and it's very jarring that even when I write a post as simple as, oh, I saw this TV show and it made me cry, guys will write me and be like, well, that's cool. You can like open up about that. I'm like, so can you, you know? And I think
I thought they were going to write you and be like, bro, do you know what you wrote? You should take that down. You can still take it down. People haven't seen it yet.
You're a pussy.
Save the face.
Come on, man. Yeah, if you want to say cunt without being yelled at, you got to own that shit with machismo. But it's crazy to me. I mean, and I think it's because like I'm a fighter, but I'm also like a weirdo artist. But and I'm glad it's helping people, and I'm glad that they're writing. But I also think that so much of this bullshit, ego, alpha, bullying, garbage that happens, maybe a lot of it will be prevented if guys felt like they could show their emotions.
That's what an emotional guy would say. Fuck you, you're a pussy.
That's what, that's what a fucking cuck Taylor Swift. Did I talk about Taylor Swift on this podcast? Because I talked about it on.
No, please do.
Oh, I just
talk about Taylor Swift.
The new album's phenomenal. I'm gonna check my Instagram and just make sure that
Yeah, no, the invite is out. So this is something that I have had waking nightmares about. For people who don't know, I am, besides the fact that I'm ADD, I am definitely OCD, but even worse, I am dyslexic.
Yeah.
Not to the point that I can't drive on the highway, thank God, but to the point that if I have to watch somebody as an instructor of jiu-jitsu do a move and them ask me what's wrong, I'm like, well, it's all backwards. Yeah. And they'll be like, well, this is what you showed. And then I'll lie down in their positions like, no, you're right.
Yeah, I do the same thing, which is so funny because me and you before COVID were going to go do commentary for this big jiu-jitsu thing. And I was like, the only reason that I haven't pursued commentary stuff harder, because I think I'd be really good at color, is because of dyslexia. I would never be able to say left, right, blah, blah, blah. But you're such a technical instructor that I was like, Drew's probably got it. It would have been a mess.
Oh, it would have been terrible.
Been like left, no, right, off, fucking shit.
I say that as Martin is trying to jump on the stream right now to say, Yo, dude.
Hey, what's up, brother?
I'm so happy to have you on here at the time that I told you to be on here, because I have so little faith in my ability to switch time zones between areas. And this is 17 hours of difference. So, like, this is my big fan.
Yeah, no, it's all good. Sorry for the stuff around, but it is what it is. I'm sitting on my living room floor because I forgot to charge my phone last night, and it's like literally
No, this is great. This is great, dude. I was actually nervous that we fucked up the time too, because Drew and I were literally just talking about how we just realized that we're both dyslexic, and we didn't know that, and we were invited to do a commentary gig together, and each of us thought the other one would have been able to like take over for the dyslexia, and we would have been fucked. We wouldn't have known which arm was grabbing what, and it would have been a disaster, and we would have been fired immediately.
Well, we got there at the end, so it's all good.
Yeah. Hey, Martin, have you ever done any commentary? I know you're big, like obviously you're in the MMA world at the peak, but when you're coming up, you know, sometimes they'll pull local guys to do commentary.
Dude, I am the worst at commentating. When I'm with Angla, and when I was next to Henry Hoof and we were watching one of the fights, I think it was like one of Angela Lee versus Zhang Junnan in Japan. I think it was October last year or so. They were on like the first the morning show, and I was commentating because they weren't like interested in watching, but I was watching it. And I was commentating, and Angla thinks like when I commentate like, oh, she's jabbed it.
You're like a fan, right?
And he's like, man, you're hyping it up like it's a big fight, but she's not even throwing anything. I'm like, yeah, I'll be the worst commentator out there.
I know. I do the same thing, and it's also why I can't bet, and it's why I can't do commentary. It's because I vote with my heart, Martin, which is anytime, like, I just vote for the person I like the most. I'm like, they're gonna win, but that has nothing to do with, same with even with like the Super Bowl and shit. I'm like, which team is less evil? Like, which owner didn't say something racist, and like, I'll vote for that. That's my team. Fucking, I guess. But however, if I did bet money, I was one of the only people. Do you remember there was that one event where it was Dillashaw, Garbrandt, and then Thug Rose, her first match against Joanna, and I had and GSP Bisbing, and I think like all of my people were underdogs and won. Like if I put money on Rose for that, I would have made a lot of money because that was the only time.
You wouldn't be doing a podcast, that's for sure.
Yeah. Fuck off, Drew. The second I win some of that gambling money, I'm out of here.
I knew it was coming anyways, but I have faith you'll never win a bet, so we're good.
Yeah, I'm so bad at it.
We're rocking the same boat anyway, man. I always bet with my heart and always lose. So
always. Every time people are like, "What are your picks?" I'm like, "You don't want to know."
Yeah.
But dude, every time you bet with your right hand, you seem to win. I've been watching your knockout highlight compilations, and it is just that rocket comes out of nowhere for 145 to just lights out people at featherweight is so crazy to see.
And lightweight as well. No, but
yes.
I always said, man, it's always the punches that you don't see that hurt the most. And don't get me wrong, I can throw them. And I've been hit by them before, and I've been knocked down before, but it's always the one that you don't see come in that always hurts the most and could, consequently end your night.
When you train that, are you trying to, like, coming up when you sort of realize like, oh, this is like a weapon, like this is going to be like one of my go-tos, do you try to put the emphasis on training the timing and the precision almost over just fucking, I'm going to try to throw this as hard as I can? Like once you realize that thing that's working for you, do you kind of look at the dorkier, more technical aspects of it, or does it just happen naturally?
Look, I'd say it came naturally. I wasn't a stand-up fighter. I was more of I take you down and I try ground and pound, and I try to submit you if I can. I started off jiu-jitsu. I did jiu-jitsu for the whole year before I started fighting. And my game plan was obviously get the takedown, win the round, or win via ground and pound or TKO or sub, whatever I can get. And
You're speaking to my heart right now.
Yeah. So when I first started at one championship, I was like 8-0 as an amateur, and I was 3-0 as a professional. And all of those fights were ground and pound or via submission. None of them had a stand-up knockout. And once I signed with one championship, once I read the rule set, I was like, oh man, this is going to go like the opposite. So I'm going to take someone down, I'm going to lose the fight if they're going to hit me. Like everything about one championship's global rule set was completely opposite to my fighting style. So I had to do what every MMA fighter had to do, which is change and adapt. And look, my first fight, it worked out for me. I got the submission. Took a striker down. He was 5-0. It was scary as fuck, because when you went over from a local scene to an international scene and you don't know anything about the guy and there's no video footage about him, all you know about him is he's 5-0. Man, I shit my pants when I went into that ring.
What a haunting thing to know.
Oh man, I was like, what is this guy's name? Am I spelling it wrong, or am I doing something wrong on YouTube or Google, or where is this guy?
Or is the government hiding his past from you?
Exactly, yeah. And when I first fought in Singapore, I was shooting bricks, and I was like, man, what the hell is going on? And thankfully enough, it worked out for me. I got the rear naked choke after getting knocked down, and I had to adapt and move on from there. And the rule set. I kind of adapted to it and kind of worked more on striking base than my jiu-jitsu. Don't get me wrong, I did not like cancel out jiu-jitsu or wrestling. I still was doing it, but I was working a lot more on the striking aspect of it as well, and what I can do to win each round if it doesn't go my way of knocking the guy out or taking the guy down. So it was more of an open mind thing, and thankfully enough.
I want to ask you about that, because like I want to talk about one championship, but Drew and I were just talking about mental health. This seems very like a stretch, but just stay with me. We were talking about mental health before you came on the air, and I've seen interviews with you, and you're kind of just like an inspiring dude outside of fighting as well. And some of the little things you just said right there that I picked up on about fighting, when you said, okay, this is the new rule set, I'm just going to adapt. And suddenly now you're known for striking for a lot of people. So not only did you adapt, but you thrived. And I think a lot of people would have been like, oh, fuck that. Or a lot of people get really stubborn, or ego takes over, or fear takes over. And then the other thing I caught was you being so open about fear, but then kind of pushing through and doing it. Like when I hear you talk sometimes, you kind of do embody that martial arts as a metaphor for life, that kind of, I mean, not to like kiss your ass, but like that warrior spirit almost. Do you think that, like, what kind of came first? Did you learn those lessons from fighting, and do you apply it to your life? Did you learn those lessons from life and apply it to your fighting? Because you said it very casually, but like those are some badass things you just like low key.
Yeah, definitely, man. And it's look, it comes, honestly, it comes out natural. I'm not putting it on, but when it comes to just even if you apply it to life in general, you have to get comfortable with the uncomfortable to be able to grow in general. And that's just like for me. I found out the hard way. I lost 2 bantamweight world titles because I thought everything was working so well in my life. And you know, when something works so well in your life, it's just like, why change it if something's not broken, right?
Yeah.
That's how you kind of think. But then you come to a stalemate. Like that's how I felt. I came to like a stalemate where I wasn't improving, but I wasn't getting worse. Everyone around me, I felt, was, you know, doing their thing, and it worked for them. And obviously, me losing 2 fights and almost losing my featherweight world title, it kind of made me click. And I was like, my wife was here and Angla was here, and they made me, you know, change camps. And that's one thing of stepping out of your comfort zone, because I was so in a bubble that I thought everything was working my way. When it was kind of, the walls were breaking down around me, so I had to step outside that circle, and I kind of found myself again, kind of fell in love with the sport again, and you know, here I am today. I feel like I'm a new fighter, and I've developed new skills, and I can't wait to show it to the world. You know.
Yeah, you really are showing it to the world. For our listeners, who a lot of them are based on this side of the world, over in the northern and western hemispheres,
bunch of dumb Americans. We're
dumb Americans.
Too busy starting fucking wars and not wearing masks and spreading COVID to know what the fuck's going on with one championship.
Yeah, so if you can really dumb it down for us,
talk in terms of freedom and titties. If you can do that, that'll help a lot.
There's something that you talked about that I'd like for you to sort of expand on about ONE FC, or ONE Championship now, is that the rules difference between that and maybe more UFC-centric style MMA. What about that made you have to switch to being a striker? Because when we were talking to John Wayne Parr a couple episodes ago, I just assumed as a grappler watching ONE FC that just everybody's just a better striker over in South Pacific and Asia area, because there's just a lot of striking there. That must be what it is. But you're saying that the rules kind of help play to that. So can you sort of explain to us?
Yeah, so from what I understand is, look, takedowns is like the least judged in the criteria of the whole booklet. Yeah, obviously they don't go round by round. So if you went so well in round 1, you kind of went well in round 2, but you completely lost round 3. Like that round 3 is what counts the most, because it's like the most dominant fighter overall. And that's, for me, I was like, I can't take that chance. Like you can't really take that chance. This is like, realistically,
that's street rules.
100%, man. It's like, this is like, no, not necessarily street rules. There is rules in there, but like, this is somebody that's out there. This is in general. This is somebody that you're going up against that wants to take half your paycheck. This is what you use to feed your family. This is what you use to invest in yourself to progress to that next level. So when you kind of think of it, like when you're going 3 rounds or 5 rounds, 1 round it counts so much. So you can't take that risk when it comes to bouts like this. So you got to obviously be prepared in every genre, every part of the fight. You got to be prepared for, but you also got to make sure that you got to do whatever it takes to win those rounds. And I think when it comes to adapting to the rules over there, I think it goes on damage and strikes, clean strikes, domination, that type of that fighting style wins those fights. And regardless of if you get taken down and held down, if they're not doing any damage and you're like attacking off your back, or you know, you're stuffing takedowns and you're getting back up, you're necessarily seen as winning the fight. So it's hard to it's hard to like coming from a Western side, America, where takedowns wins fights. Like you got Khabib, you just take him down and like, all right, it's a 10-9 round. Like nothing was really thrown, but the takedown happened. That's a 10-9 round to Khabib. Like coming from that side and then watching one championship and seeing someone get taken down, but then so like the guy that's taken down loses the fight, like they don't get it. But in the rules, it's clearly stated that you got to do damage, you got to win dominantly, unless you're like a Ben Askren where you take someone down, which is the lowest criteria, but you do like a beating for the whole 15 minutes, and there's nothing to judge the fight on but the beating that you just handed out.
Yeah, like old school Chael Sonnen.
Yeah. Like, there you win the fight, but if there's like stand up involved for I don't know 7 minutes of the 15 minutes, then they'll counter off that than anything. So
yeah, well, I want to know your thoughts about ONE as an organization, because I definitely did the sort of American exceptionalism thing where, came up on UFC and WC and all that stuff and heard about ONE. And I think the only reason I started watching ONE because I know Gary, and when Gary started fighting, I was like, all right, I'll check this out. And recently, and there's part of me as an American where I'm like, I'm going to support this little upstart ONE and be like a really good guy. And then I tune in and it is massive across like every other fucking part of the world. The audiences seem incredibly educated. The fighters seem taken care of. And honestly, like for anyone listening, you can go on YouTube and instead of like, here's 10 minutes of Dana White's looking for a fight where it's like him and Matt Serra trying to find pizza, there are these like 3-hour montages of like, here's the best Muay Thai from ONE, here's the best jiu-jitsu, here's like your whole fucking story. It's like some like 45-minute saga and like clips of your fights. So you can really educate yourself pretty quickly on ONE, but it is fucking massive. Is there part of you that loves that and you want to be the ambassador for that brand and get that brand bigger over here? Or do a lot of fighters over there, is UFC still the goal? Or is this just to you a bigger global version of UFC?
That's how I see it, man. I just see it as this is the organization. This is where I've established myself, and I'm happy for that. I've got to share my side of the story. ONE Championship put together a lot of videos, not only on myself, but all other guys. Like you got people out there, and some people don't want to message the fighter direct and go, "Hey, man, what did you do when you grew up?" Or that. ONE Championship creates that video, and we explain it to them, and then that there is shared with the world. And and for someone who's pretty shy of like messaging like high level athletes, or they won't get like any replies or anything, there's videos out there to like, it's like more of a get to know you videos, and your struggles, your past, and your upbringings, and everything from your journey from when you first started before martial arts up until now. So ONE Championship focus on that, and I think they call it like building your hero. And some people watch it, and some people are like, man, this is an inspirational video. Like,
dude,
man.
That's why I wrote you. Like, yours got me out of a fucking depression where like I haven't been training because of COVID and stuff, and I watched it and it just like made me want to be like a fucking fighter again. And yeah, it was just really like beautiful like storytelling and showing the kind of showing the downfall, and then showing like building back up. And it's fucking, you can tell that they care about their fighters and they're building them up for the right reasons, which is also nice that like not all of you after every fight have to just suddenly start shit talking or doing like Conor McGregor ripoffs, because if you want to learn about a fighter or be inspired by a fighter, you can go see their story on YouTube instead of these like fake bullshit promos,
100%. It's like when you watch these promos that ONE Championship they post out, it's raw and it's authentic. Nothing is staged and you have to say what they want you to say. You just say it as it is, and they put it together for the fans to ultimately watch and take note of, and just little bits and pieces like, oh, that's the way he does stuff. That's how I was taken up, and that's how I grew up, and we got something in common. And somehow you start connecting with the fighter, and then only through the videos, and then you start watching his fights. And man, this is all that hard work has led into there. Like, what if I did the same thing? Like, it's all little bits and pieces that people can learn and grow off and take similarities from. So.
Yeah, I really appreciate from a business standpoint how well one is being run on social media, which is something that I spend a lot of my time on too. They're brilliant at marketing and making, like you're saying, these videos that makes it very easy for fans to invest into fighters that they may not know yet and become like super fans really quick.
Yeah, 100%. I think One Championship is doing the right thing with the social media side, because it's an ever evolving world, right? And everyone literally in the world has a phone, right? And there's internet connected to the phone, so why not try to connect to them through social media? Everyone's got an account, unless you're 1960s old school and you don't even still carry a phone, then that's understandable. But like,
God, that's my fucking dream. I want to live that life.
That's a different story.
That sounds amazing. Just live in the woods somewhere.
That's a different generation.
Yeah.
But nowadays, everyone's got a phone. Everyone's got somewhat of an interest here and there. And, like, even if you don't have an interest in MMA and you scroll past and you just see, like, I don't know, like a sponsored ad, and it could be One Championship, you just click on it and it could be anything. And you're just like, okay, I just learned something new today, or I just kind of connected with someone new today. And that's one thing that One Championship's doing well, via branding their athletes.
Well, I want to talk about the fighters too, not just the organization, but, and maybe I'm being the hipster kid who's like obsessed with one, just like I'm the one who, like, I watch soccer. I watch the World Cup. I don't watch baseball, but the more I watch one, like, the fights are just more exciting. Like, is there something that American MMA fans may be missing with even the training? Like, because, so many more of the guys over in one will train over in like Thailand and places like that. Like, is there different training going on in other parts of the world that are making, I mean, dude, some of even these takedowns that I'm seeing on one are like, I've never seen shit like that. I mean, just guys, it looks like pro wrestling moves, the way they're being leveled. And, all the Muay Thai fights are just so fucking technical.
They're terrifying.
But they're violent. Like, they're not like boring technical. Like, they somehow, everything's a little tighter than the UFC, but it's still just go, 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 go. Is the training different? Do you notice that there's a higher caliber of fighting, or is it just like different styles?
Yeah, I think styles makes fights, definitely. But in terms of training camps and that, look, ultimately, I think everyone's camp is obviously different, but it works well for them, to the point where they're disciplined enough to stay on the path that they're going, and learn different things, and obviously perfect their strikes and showcase them in that One Championship circle or ring. In terms of camp, it really it's kind of, I don't know how to say it. It's like it's suitable for like different. Everyone has their own different types of styles, and every camp isn't for everyone. But like, whatever.
You're being so diplomatic right now. You're being so.
Yeah, I don't know. Whatever suits you, man. Whatever floats your boat.
Yeah.
Go with that camp, and whatever helps you that way, go like that. But like, obviously, when it comes to the fight, you're working 8 weeks, man. 8 weeks, you're not going to go in there and start street fighting.
Yeah, for sure.
8 weeks for a camp, everything's so technical. You got to work on what you've been perfecting in that 8 weeks. So,
do you think there is any difference with the kind of training, even like technique wise, that leads to these insane technical fights just on the other side of the world? So
in terms of Thailand, obviously they're known for Muay Thai, right? So they've been doing it since 5-6 years old, all the way up until 200-300 fights later. So in terms of their Muay Thai techniques compared to the American Muay Thai techniques, obviously it's going to be different. These guys have been doing it longer,
right?
But that's the only. I mean, in terms of wrestling, you're not going to see a Muay Thai guy start wrestling. Americans are going to do that better.
Right.
Each camp has their style, which works for them, and they brush it off to the fighters. Which, if it works for them, beautiful. If it doesn't, then you're gonna step outside that small bubble that they're in.
Yeah.
Well, I want to circle back actually to the first time you shocked me in this interview, where you said that you started off primarily a grappler. First of all, that makes me so happy as basically a pure grappler myself. I want to hear more about
you have your fucking black belt just hanging back there like super casually. oh, this old thing?
Yeah.
Just hanging out to dry.
I got one behind my back everywhere I go, just so everyone knows. I hold one over my shoulder to sling my books.
Let me pull out my white belt. And the gi there too. Shit.
Yeah.
Let me bring my belt out.
That's a true flex right there.
Let's sing on a podcast.
So I want to know about your jiu-jitsu.
Yeah, so I did jiu-jitsu. I only really started jiu-jitsu to lose weight. I met my wife. We had our firstborn. I was 20 years old when I got married and had my son.
Wow.
And I was 86 in kilos. I was 86 kilos. That would have been like 186, 187 in pounds. So I was pretty stocky. I'm 5'8", so being 180 something definitely is. I'm fat.
I was the exact same build, but I'm 5'7" when I started jiu-jitsu. I started jiu-jitsu at like 28. I was on the road doing stand-up. I did it when I was like 17 to like 19. But yeah, and it was just all of that extra weight. It wasn't even proportioned. It was literally just my stomach. And I remember I was home for Christmas one year, and my brother, not trying to be mean, it's just like he noticed it for the first time. I suddenly saw my little brother go, "Ugh," and just point to my stomach, and I was like, fuck. And then I started jiu-jitsu like 2 weeks later.
Dude, when I started, like when I first started jiu-jitsu, I was like fat as, and then when I look back on photos now, I always say to my wife, I'm like, how did you fall in love with that? I'm like, what were you thinking? You were love drunk.
But what a deal she got out of it. Look where you are now.
Exactly.
That worked out. That's for all for all the ladies listening, give us chubsters a chance and then just get us into jiu-jitsu immediately.
It might pay off. Nah. I started off jiu-jitsu to lose weight. 1 year of training, and I did a New South Wales Jiu-Jitsu tournament, my first ever tournament. I was shit scared. I didn't know what to expect. I was still a white belt, and I came third. I had 4 arm bars, and the last fight that I lost that kicked me out of the tournament was my mistake. I had just finished a match. I was thirsty as. My wife handed me a Powerade, which is like, I don't know, like a Kool-Aid sports drink.
Yeah, we got him.
And I sculled the whole bottle. And the moment I sculled the whole bottle, the umpire was like, "Martin Nguyen, you're up next. This is the quarterfinals." And I was like, I just sculled that bottle. I'm like, all right, it is what it is. The guy, I took the guy down. He swept me, and no joke, he was in side control. I was perfectly fine off my back. I was just waiting there in side control, waiting for him to move. He grabbed my lapel. He honestly did not put any pressure. He just grabbed my lapel, had his forearm on the bridge of my Adam's apple, and then I tapped, and I ran off the mat, and I threw up. And that was
Yep.
So that obviously I came third, and that was my mistake. And I was like, you know what, I'm gonna try another tournament. And then at the time, MMA was starting to boom. And all the guys in the gym, they were on like a good winning streak. So their success kind of rubs off on you. Like, oh man, you won again, and you won again. The whole team won, and I'm celebrating. I'm like, I want to be a part of that. And then
what year is this?
This was 2010. Okay. 10-ish, yeah. 2010. And then so in saying that, I started taking Muay Thai classes, and I was like shit as I got my leg kicked the shit out of. I couldn't walk for 2 weeks. And from there, I just grew as a fighter, and I just learned new things. I was so obsessed with it, and being obsessed with it, I think is what made me kind of step up and jump into the open mat MMA, and that's how I went 8-0 as an amateur. So
yeah, what was your? Because you and your wife have like such a fucking cool relationship. I've also, by the way, been like alone during quarantine, so like everything makes me cry, and I'm just oddly emotional about stuff like this. But like what was kind of her thought and your thought as it was going from I'm going to lose weight. And she was probably like, dope. And then you're like, I'm going to start training a lot more. She was probably like, a little weirder, to suddenly it becoming like, you weren't like, I'm going to do jujitsu and become a world champion. You were like, I'm going to do jujitsu and lose weight. So I stopped chugging Powerade and throwing up. And then suddenly it started becoming your career. Like, were there conversations with both of you, like, what the fuck is going on? What are we doing? Or was it always this sort of like ride or die? Like, all right, man, like, I trust you.
Look, to be honest, she gave me the ultimatum. She said, if you start fighting, I'm going to leave you. I don't like that. Like, she thought it was barbaric. And she's here. Yeah, I can tell her. She can confirm it. But she told me that she doesn't want me fighting or competing. She just wants me training and come home nice and safe, no bruises, no nothing, because it was barbaric back then. And then my first MMA tournament, I told her, because she came to my first jiu-jitsu tournament, so she's seen what was happening and what's the go and everything. She's seen like the atmosphere, and so it didn't really phase her to be like, okay, I'll come to the next one as well. I said, I'm going to another jiu-jitsu tournament this weekend, and instead of the jiu-jitsu tournament, it was an MMA tournament. I didn't tell her. And then,
Great.
And then she was at her mum's house, and I had finished. I came first in the whole tournament. We had 3 fights, and I won. I was this at 185 too, and I fought the weight that I fought. So, I came back with the trophy. I'm like, oh, I won the tournament. And she goes, oh yeah. I'm like, oh, by the way, it wasn't jiu-jitsu, it was MMA. And then she had the shits from there, and then she was like kind of angry at me. I'm like, well, look, obviously I've done something right. I won this tournament. There's another tournament a few months down the track. I want to do that one as well. You should come and watch me. And then she came and watched that one, and I won that one. And so the moment I won that tournament, I was like, you know what? Next year I'm going to step into the cage as an amateur, and we'll see how we go from there. And then she's been ride or die since then. It was just more the fact that I had to hide it from her, and I had to bring home. Imagine I didn't bring home the trophy. I brought home a black eye instead. That there would be, I probably wouldn't be where I am now. It was just the fact that I brought home the trophy, and it motivated me to get another one.
So that's your relationship advice to everybody out there. You can lie as long as you don't get the shit kicked out of you.
As long as you win, just start. Yeah, I like it. You started with like barbarian light and moved it to like barbarian casual, and then like by the time she realized she was married to a full barbarian, you were already winning belts. So
exactly, man. Just ease her into everything.
Yeah.
You can't get 0 to 100.
Man, I want to talk to you about your mental game, because as you were talking about your first jiu-jitsu tournament, I started thinking about my first jiu-jitsu tournament, and like those moments in the fight where when I'm winning, I'm like, oh, I'm just plowing through people. This is great. Relax, whatever. And then the second there's adversity, the first thought in my head used to be, well, I can just go home and eat acai. Like, why am I doing this? Like, it's not even like keep fighting. It's like, why did I ever do jiu-jitsu? I'm a fucking idiot. I want to go back to playing guitar. This is dumb. With you, I mean, God, in the cage, in front of the cameras, in front of the audience, some of the comebacks you've had, man, are so fucking spectacular. Do you think about your mental training often? Like, is the mental as important to you? Is it just something that you've always had, or is it something that you had to hone like a skill, whether it's visualization, whether, any kind of mental tools like that? I'm fascinated by how they train their minds when they have performances like yours.
Yeah, most definitely, man. And for me, look, even up until now, if you say that you aren't scared going into a match, then you are not human. It's all natural that you get that fear before signing a contract, while walking out, and while in that cage or that circle. You're always gonna have that fear. Someone's in there, they're ready to hurt you just as much as you're ready to hurt them. So that there is natural. I get that all the time. It's just how I control it. I don't know, man. For me personally, I use my family as as my inspiration. I spend 2 months away from them. I'm in Florida doing camps, and me being away from them, I'm missing out on a lot of family time. Probably in that family time, we wouldn't be doing anything. It's just a matter of spending time with your, the loved ones when like when you're home, right? But in those 2 months, I feel that is a big loss. So for me, using it as inspiration, I need to bring home the W for them, so we can, we can, like, this time away has been worth it. So that's how I use, like, to get over it. I mean, when I'm in there, I'm like, man, this is all you, bro. I talk to myself for real. I talk to myself. I'm like, this is all you. This is 8 weeks of work. You've been fucking a savage for the whole fucking 8 weeks.
Yeah.
Now it's time to show it. And when I go in there, man, I just do whatever I had to do to win every single time. If I get hit, I'm like, man, I've been hit harder. Who cares? Get up. Do whatever you have to do to get that one back. You know,
that's fucking great. Yeah.
It's hard, man, and it's mentally exhausting as well. When you don't, for me, when I don't have my family around me, like I'm always the last one in this house to go to sleep. I make sure everyone else is eaten and slept, closed eyes. The house is safe before I go to sleep. And for me not to be able to do that while I'm in another country, that there is like, my wife obviously steps up and she does the job. And she's always been doing the job since I've left. But it's just, for me mentally, I'm just like, man, you've spent time away from your kids. You chose to do this and your wife has supported you. So you just got to do what you have to do to bring home that check and make them happy, right?
Martin, listen to me. You seem like the greatest guy in the world. If you ever get caught in a scandal, I'm going to fucking kill you. Stay pure and wonderful. And by kill you, I mean, I'll give you a talking to and then I'll run away. What about outside of the fight? Like, are there any sort of pragmatic mental things you do? Do you self-talk when you're at the gym? Do you visualize the fight when you're, driving? Is there anything like that? Or is it more of just train hard and then, family's your inspiration, go, go, go?
No. So before I get ready for like sparring or a hard session, I just think, man, why are you doing this? What's your purpose? What's your goals for this session? And that's the like, I mean, it's a short drive, it's a 10-15 minute drive, but in my head I'm just like, what's your goals for this sparring session? What do you want to do? I want to try land at least 10 takedowns in the 5 rounds that I'm doing. Like, you just have that, and you set yourself goals and you push yourself. Who do you want to go with first, second, third, fourth, fifth? I want the hardest to, and the hardest, and I can breeze through, and I want the hardest last too, like all that type of stuff. It's just like you're preparing yourself for worst case scenario. Some sparring sessions, some sessions, I start off my back. Like, I give someone my back and I work my way out, and then we start going from there. Or I'll give them full mount, and then we go 1, 2, 3, go. Okay, and they start landing ground and pounds, and I'm just like working out of the scenario right then and there. We just throw ourselves into the deep end. Some people train different. Some people, I don't know how other people train, but for me, I like to, deep end work and work out of adversity and know that I've been in that situation before, so I don't panic when I get in that situation in the fight.
Yeah, that's something that Jamie's talked about. I've heard him too. He called it fear inoculation, where you're so used to being in shit situations that it's not as terrifying, right? This is normal.
Oh, well, I got something for you, Martin. How about, so we have like a bazillion like blue belts who listen to this, right? And you remember, like, when you're 2-3 years in, you're starting to get good, you don't want to get tapped. You have that phase where you don't want to get tapped, and where your ego is starting to get involved, and you're like, I want that fucking purple belt, and you're eyeing other people and shit like that. And a lot of people, I think, before they quit or when they stalemate is when they don't want to put themselves in hard situations anymore. What is your advice to people, or why is it important that even if you're not a pro fighter, it's better to go in, put yourself in these hard situations, get tapped out, and maybe your ego gets a little bruised, but in the long run, it's kind of why we fight.
Yeah, well, yeah, like, I think 9 times out of 10, the main thing that every student has is obviously ego, but they don't want to show it. And when it comes to being tapped, and like, for someone to come from another gym and come over to your gym, and when you roll with him, like, he can just say, "Oh, I tapped him out. I tapped him out. I won over him." So you have a one up on somebody. Like, nobody wants that, right? And that's why, everyone has that ego where they don't want to lose. Like, for real, like, everyone, I don't even like to lose, but for me to learn, I lose all the time in the gym. I get bashed all the time, even from guys that are smaller than me. I get tapped all the time from guys that just purely do jiu-jitsu and no MMA. Like, for me, that I don't really care about tapping. All I want to know is how the hell did I get in that position? And I want to perfect it the next time when we roll. Like, I don't want to ever get in that position ever again. Like, I'll give you an example. When I fought Marat Gafarov the first time, and he took my back in like a blink of an eye, I went for a shit single leg, had my head on the outside, I headbutted the ground, he trapped my arm, and he tapped me out in 41 seconds. I was like, this is his go-to move. Obviously, he's jiu-jitsu black belt. He's worked everything he's done. It's come to rear naked chokes for the next seven fights from there. I was one of the 7 fights that he got for rear naked chokes. So in that fight where I had the rematch against him, the whole 8-week camp, even though I shouldn't have, I'd made myself comfortable. I had black belts. I had from white belts to black belts to everything you can name under the sun, from wrestlers that had my back constantly. And I put myself in that shit situation where, you know, this guy is, no matter what, he's going to take my back. It's what I do with it afterwards. It's going to, like, so he's put all his eggs in the basket, and I just, you know, made him waste all his eggs. And when I escaped the 2 back mounts that he had on me, man, I was just like, what else have you got? Realistically, you're not going to knock me out. Like, what else have you got? I've just beaten you at your own game. Now it's me to implement my game, and that was ultimately me wanting to knock him out, and I wanted to. So,
dude, that's fucking great. That's fucking awesome.
Man, 8 weeks of someone on your back, it's like, man, I felt like those Asian village workers that has rice on their backs every single day, carrying like through the rice fields. Like, I was just carrying everyone on my back constantly. And even to this day, I'm so comfortable with someone being on my back. I don't really care. Like, I know I can escape a back mount with my eyes closed, and that's how I feel anyway.
Dude, that's fucking great.
Oh, yeah, there's something you said about not wanting to lose there. Now that's still ego, but I think that you're using it in a healthy way. So there's like this trope in jiu-jitsu that's like, have no ego, ego isn't your amigo, all this bullshit that's like, ego is bad, never have ego. And I think some people take it too far where they're like, I can't be proud of myself, I can't, take pride in what I'm doing. But I think what it is like, you don't want to have the ego that I got tapped, now that didn't matter, I'm better than that, I'm not going to pay attention to that. That's bad ego. But what you're doing is like, I got tapped, I fucking hate that, that's never going to happen to me again, teach me how to never have that happen to me again. So you can turn it into a learning experience that makes you into this double weight class champion that you've become. It's the proper use of ego.
100%. Well, that's how I see. But in life in general, when you don't want something to really happen to you, and it does happen to you, how are you going to get around that not happening to you ever again and grow from that? It's all about progression, and that's how I say it. I don't really care if I tap out. Like, I've been tapped out by white belts. I've been caught off guard by white belts and people who start off and just got like a lucky choke. I'm just like, how did I get in that position so I don't ever get in that position ever again? Or did it come down to laziness, or did you just you roll the wrong way where they knew you were going that way and they got like a position on you? I don't know. Like, I just don't want to ever be in that position if I know that it can cost me in the fight. So yeah.
Right. Well, I just learned I do have a chance now. Yeah, this is the last thing for me, just on the kind of ego note. Like, Drew, that was a really good observation, where I think sometimes people are almost afraid to be confident, because if you're confident, that means you get hurt more when you lose, right? Like, emotionally, like every time we have like white belts or blue belts or even purple belts right into the show to ask us questions. And granted, Drew and I are comedy people too, but they're always like, I'm a shitty blue belt, or they always have to preface it with like, I'm a garbage purple belt, here's my question. And I think that partly it's like, yeah, you don't want to be cocky. You don't want to be an asshole. You don't want to be selfish or like a narcissist. But that's very different than being confident. Like, you are clearly like a very respectable, like, good person. But if you weren't confident, you'd be fucked. Like, you have to be confident as well. What is that line to you between confidence and cocky? Like, when is confidence or when is ego good, And then when does it start to get you in trouble?
Look, when it comes to confidence in general, I think it comes down to experience. You've been through the trenches, and you've come out of it. When it comes to that, for me personally, that's how I get my confidence. I lose every single time in the gym. I say it there. I say it proud too. I lost today. I don't really care, as long as how I don't ever get in that position ever again. Not only that, is that how can I, when I work to never ever get in that position again, how can I use that to an advantage to put him into an uncomfortable position, so how he can grow as a training partner as well. So I don't know, confidence wise, I am confident, but to an extent where I kind of don't let it get ahead of myself and think that I'm the best. I'm not the best. There's always someone out there that's better than you, no matter where you go. It's just how you progress in those situations to make sure that you don't get caught off guard or anything like that.
I like that, man. Well, listen, we are going to be such huge advocates for you and for ONE as an organization. And like, I'm so excited that more and more people are finding out about it over here, man. And like, yeah, if you ever need anything, we got you.
No, man. Thank you. Thank you so much. It was great talking to you guys.
Yeah, brother.
Our pleasure, man.
I'll shoot you a link when we post it on Monday.
Yeah, 100%. I'll share it from there. Thank
All
you.
right, cool. Thanks, brother. See you later.
Thanks, guys. Take care.
See ya. So Jamie, you were right. Besides the fact that was a kick-ass conversation, I couldn't find a single possible way to say the word cunt and not sound cunty.
He is such a wonderful man. Like, he's so wonderful that he looked confused at my scandal joke where he's like, what's a scandal? I'm just a loving husband. Like, oh, Drew. And if you drop that, like his little wife was there. I think I heard a child in the background. And if you were like, hey, you fucking cunt, I would have closed my computer. You would have seen my screen slowly go to black. And
I don't even think he would have been mad. He would have just been really sad, which would have made it twice as bad.
I almost spit out my water. Also, by the way, don't use ego amigo. Is that a fucking thing for real?
Dude, they've got fucking merchandise that says ego is not your amigo. It is the daddest joke. I know.
That's so lame.
Bad.
Yeah, I mean, that's an interesting conversation that I want to have down the line. I would love to have that conversation with like,
what is your amigo?
No, yeah, like a Connor or someone like that about that line.
Why don't we just get Connor next week? You can ask.
Yeah, let's do that.
Okay. I'll drop him a line.
Kavanaugh follows me on Twitter.
Hey, like, yo, get your fighter on our podcast.
Get your boy. But I loved his answer. I've never heard someone say that, where it's like, I know I'm not the best, but I'm going to train for that. Like, that
elicited two things in me right away. One is, I wish that I was more like that. I don't think that I am.
Well, I've just never heard it before. Like, we can be if we want to.
Yeah. And two, I actually am really excited for his gym and his training partners. If that's the environment that they're culturing there, dude, they're all going to be killers.
I really want to train with him. And also, confession to all of the blue belts I threw under the bus. I don't get to train a lot anymore. And I hope no one's listening to this. And I trained MMA for the first time in a while and did great. But did great because like the second I felt them like going hard, I was like, oh, okay, I have to go as hard as I can. Like I went to the point where if they were like, do you want to do another round? I would be like, no. Because I was like, I'm not going to let you score a fucking point on me. And also MMA makes everything so much scarier because I'm like, oh, if you get a good position, I'm getting in my brain, I know like you're stealing my family and there's nothing I can do, And so I do it. I feel like I'm going to throw up. Like, I'm happy with it. And I was like, wow, what a great experience. With like really, everyone there was like really good. They were really sweet. Even when they went hard, they weren't being dicks. And then there's part of me that's like, all right, well, I guess I don't need to go back there. I kind of made my point. And that's like that bad ego part where it's like, no, I should then go with the guy who I felt like there was one guy, like I felt he was a good wrestler and he just didn't know I had that guillotine. So I'm like, yeah, come up on that single. And I'm like, now he's going to know. But I'm like, yeah, but I won that last one. And like, I still have to fight that. And granted, I think it's a little weirder for me because now everyone knows me in jiu-jitsu from these videos. So like in my head, I start to play out exactly what he said about the visitor. I start to play out the like, oh, that comedy guy, like I tapped him, and then me wanting to be like, excuse me, I was trying something new, and it's like I shouldn't even care.
Yes,
I need to get to. We all do. We all need to get to the point where, whether it's the art you're putting out in the world, whether it's, confessing to liking Taylor Swift, or whether it's, trying something to get in your ass kicked one day, that like, it doesn't fucking matter what they think. It never matters what they think, unless you're being a shitty person. What matters is like, what's going on. You know what you're doing, but it's hard, man. As confident as I can be, I also want people to fucking like me, and I want people to think I'm good at things. And like, it's a bitch.
Man, that little the visitor thing, that could be a whole podcast, because the more I think about it, like,
podcast.
Dude, when people come to my gym, I'm so happy to have them here, but I absolutely have to kick their ass.
Yeah.
Like, I absolutely have to. But when I'm the one visiting to another gym, I have the least confidence in myself, because I'm like, I don't know any of these people. I don't know any of their game. One of them is going to catch me right away. Maybe both of them. Maybe all three of these guys are going to catch me.
Do I even deserve to be a black belt?
Exactly.
Yeah. I remember this happens every time I visit a gym, or every time I roll with someone for the first time. It starts with me going cartoonishly light, like Gumby arms. Then I feel them go normal. Then in my head, I go, well, this guy's being a fucking spaz. then they get like on top of me, and like, I'm like, well, I'm a fraud. I'm terrible at jiu-jitsu. I need to quit. This is awful. Like, I'm going to be like, this is why I'm fucking single. It's just this horrible thing. And then by fluke, I tell myself, get something. And then suddenly I go, wait a second. Am I good at jiu-jitsu? And then
That's the thing I always
beat the shit out of them. And like, but it's that same. I mean, I remember the first time I visited a gym, I went to the Cobra Kai gym in Vegas. And I'm just like, I guess I'm just getting my ass kicked. And then somehow I ended up in X Guard, and I heard the brown belts and the black belts watching, and they go, oh, here comes the Marcelo shit. And I'm like, oh, that's right. Like, I'm a purple belt, but I'm a purple belt under Marcelo. And then once I just heard someone go, you're good, I just turned into a different human. And I think the key is like, well, how do you get to that part a little quicker, Yeah,
you know what turned me into a different human this week? Is I got a package from one of our main sponsor, Origin.
Did they send you another? Did I finally get my package and they sent you a second package?
I got a one of their new gis. I got the Athleta gi, which they
kill everyone.
Presently have on sale right now.
Yeah. Hey, Brian, if you're listening, I'm glad that white belt gave you a black eye. You fucking send me more shit.
So I'll admit I reached out specifically for this one because I've got two white gis of theirs, but I don't have a black one, and I want to have like a contrast.
Wait, do you have it with you? I haven't seen their black gi.
Yeah, dude. Let me.
Yeah, you get it. I'm gonna keep plugging them. So I got my package, you guys. I did a commercial. Oh my god, with the yellow,
black and gold.
That's fucking legitimately dope.
Look at that shit right there,
dude. That's awesome. Holy shit. Oh, that kind of does have a Cobra Kai vibe to it too.
Yeah.
I love their shit so much. By the way, there's a great chance I have COVID because someone I was with had COVID, or I thought it was
COVID.
But I'm popping the D's and the M, and I'm hoping. I'm like, all right, so far so good. I tested negative. So it may. But yeah, I did a little commercial for them. They didn't even ask me to do it. I just did it for fun, which is like me taking all the Jocko pills and shit. And they loved it. And they all like shared it. And like Pete started following me and like reached out. And Pete even wrote, because I think at one point I was hopped up on the energy drink. And I was like, well, why'd you give Sean O'Malley jeans? I want fucking jeans. And like Pete just commented like, I'll send you jeans. And then I got too nervous to follow up on it. They're so scary. They're such great guys.
Look, they look scary, but they're teddy bears. I'm sure they'll crush you into a small ball if you're in person and rolling with them. But like they're
no, I'm just gonna do what that white belt did, and I'm gonna elbow Brian in the fucking eye.
So, dude, this gi, I felt like so fresh, so fresh rolling in this thing, and I'm gonna have this thing in my next instructional that I'm gonna be doing on guard retention, like we talked about.
You did the one you did my idea. It wasn't my idea. I mean, I had like two choices, but I think that is the right move, as we discussed 2 weeks ago. Yeah, guys, Origin Main is like, I remember after they shared the commercial, I actually reached out to Brian and Pete and was like, hey, by the way, guys, like, you're the reason our show exists, and like, we appreciate you so much. And also, I know we usually like make these ads funny and stuff. So penis.
Oh, that's hilarious.
Pretty good. Penis, fart, cunt, penis. I just like, I watch their Instagram stories and I'm just like, ugh, this is so stupid. I'm not a comedian. I'm like proud to be working with them. You know what I mean?
I know exactly what you mean.
And my brother today, my brother's like super liberal, like he's like my fucking hero. He's one of my favorite people in the world, but like super liberal, like worked for NPR, blah, blah, blah. And he called me up. So like wouldn't hear Jocko on like Fox News, right? Or like doesn't listen to like Rogan or anything like that.
Yeah.
And he's like, hey man, have you heard of this Jocko guy? And I go,
really?
Yeah. And he did what all liberals have to do nowadays, which is like make sure that they haven't done something terrible or they weren't like canceled. And he was like, has he like like what's his deal? Like, has he like done anything? And I was like,
he's done everything.
No, but done anything like bad. Well, like he's like murdered people, but like murdered bad people. Like he's murdered bad people. Yeah.
Proper murder.
But like, like was he been canceled? Was he like a creep? Like just,
that's so funny. The murder's fine, but has he been canceled?
Has he been yeah. Did he send a problematic tweet? And I go, why? Because like, if you knew my brother, like my brother works out hard and stuff like that, but he is just like, again, like very lefty, I mean, like me. And I go, why? And he goes, I saw one of his YouTube videos and it was like, really got me like pumped up. I'm like,
am I allowed to be pumped up?
I just kept watching more YouTube videos, and like, yeah, my brother got like super, and that's what's so wonderful about like just that company in general, where and I talked about this on the episode before, like when he was on Rogan, and Rogan was almost kind of trying to bait him a little harder into like make fun of the defund the police people, and Jocko was like, hey man, if they cared this much about it, then that means I want to hear them out. And I was like, ugh, you guys, like they are just like them and fucking Martin, like these are just like men I want to be like, you know what I mean? And by the way, admitting something like that, like, is also, like we were talking about in the beginning of the show with mental health, a form of vulnerability. You know what I mean? But anyway, yeah, dude, I'm just like so fucking proud to be working with them.
Yeah, when I see their stuff, and I see a lot because they're another company that's just fantastic with their marketing and putting their image out there and getting you excited about their product. They're masters at that. So whenever I see it, I'm like a little bit of a pride in myself. And like, I'm part of that too.
Dude, me fucking too. So anyway, guys, next week it'll be funny again. But honestly, like, and a lot of you have been sending us like receipts or pictures.
Dude, two of my students got new gis this week.
Fuck yeah. This girl Tori, who listens to both my podcasts and stuff, sent me a picture of her in the Origin rash guard. Some other guy like sent me the receipt or something. I'm like, well, I probably shouldn't post this. Like,
doesn't that guarantee he gets a DM reply?
Yeah. Yeah, it's really cool. So you guys are supporting them.
Mhm.
They are supporting us. And we are supporting America.
And Jamie is getting jeans.
And I gotta fucking write. I always have Drew write them for me, but
You do.
But now that we follow each other, I'm like, I have no excuse. I just, again, I got to be confident. I got to be like,
You do.
hey,
You got a blue check. You can do this.
I got a blue check. My commercial, the little thing I did for them, like, did really fucking well.
Yeah.
Anyway.
Guys, originmain.com, use promo code REARNAKED, get 10% off of everything that they make, from supplements to jeans to boots to gis. It's all there for you. You're
protein
welcome.
powder. The protein powder is great. Tea, all that shit. All right, guys, that's the fucking show. Thank you again for all of your support. You can follow Drew because_jitsu. You can follow me at the Jamie Kilstein. I'm gonna try to challenge myself. I think I'm gonna try to make a video a day. Which is insane. I think I kind of want to do it for my mental health. But that also means like less purely jujitsu videos. Like the one today.
Oh, that's fine.
Fucking insane. But I'm like, David Cho, did you see him on Rogan, that crazy artist?
Yeah.
So he wrote me, he goes,
you seem like a crazy artist too.
Yeah. And he goes, make weird shit. And I was like,
he said that?
Yeah. And like, I took a screenshot. I'm gonna save it for fucking ever. And
did you because I said right away, or
no, dude, he's sober.
What?
He's fucking sober.
What?
Yeah, he's an addict and a maniac, but he's sober. And I was like, cool. But anyway, different podcast. I can talk to you forever, buddy. So I'm making all sorts of videos. Oh, by the way, I was so inspired by Martin that I'm like, oh, I want to be healthy and get in shape even if I can't train. However, when we paused, I'm preheating the oven and I'm going to make macaroni and cheese balls.
Oh, good. Once this finishes, I'm going to slam the remainder of my monster, which has kept me up this far. And for no good reason. That's like 3/4 of a monster I don't need to drink at like, what is it, 11:05.
I'm so tired. But I'm also like, because I drank coffee, I have that weird headache where I'm like, I'm so tired, but I'm not going to fall asleep. And what I'm telling myself, this is somatic bullshit right here, is I'm like, well, I'm eating, even though I'm inspired to be healthy, I'm going to eat the mac and cheese balls now so that I can start fresh tomorrow.
You're already justifying it. Well, brother, I'm going to text you in the morning and tell you what a monster dream is like, because I'm about to have one.
Great. And I'll be on my way to buy more mac and cheese balls. All right. I love you guys. Aloha. Thank you for supporting the show. And we'll see you fucking next week.
Peace.
Peace.